My name is Regi Harris. I'm a man of faith, faith that has come through different circumstances and situations throughout my life. The way that I would describe the word hope, there's an acronym we use. It's called Hold On, Pain Ends. The word hope to me is something that I would like to leave with people because of what they see God has done for me and is constantly and steadily doing for me. Whatever issue they might be dealing with, if I can give that man, woman, boy, girl a thread of hope that tomorrow might just be a little bit better than today is, then I did my job. Some of my fondest childhood memories is just growing up with my cousins and growing up in the country. We didn't have a lot. My grandparents, growing up with them, and sports hadn't entered my life in early childhood. We was always playing something, but it was something that we just did because there was nothing else to do. The biggest influence from my grandparents is my work ethic. They didn't make excuses for a little illness or the weather or anything. They worked because they had bills to pay, they had a family to feed, and that was a priority in their life. And that's pretty much the way I am today. I work and I got it from them. When I started playing sports and living where I lived, I didn't necessarily have the opportunity to go play team sports because out in the country, so I would just pick ways to create my own games on the basketball court, that last second shot, or picking up rocks and hitting it with a stick. That's how I emulated baseball. I had a passion for whatever I did when it came to sports, and that came about from watching my grandparents, the passion they had with the way they went about their work. Well, my rise to success in high school basketball started, and I guess I may have grew up a couple more inches, but by the time I was a junior, I knew that I could play basketball. I quit football. I made first team all-conference as a junior. I averaged 24 points a game, and I led the conference in scoring, and I knew that, I was a pretty good basketball player. I wound up signing with Valencia Community College in Orlando my first year, a junior college. And I went there, and I did well. And I left after my freshman year, and I was planning on going to Louisville to walk on. And while in Louisville, as circumstances would have it, coach from Sam Houston State found out about me and called me and said, would you like to come take a look? I'm a small town country boy, and so now I'm on a college campus, a bunch of girls, a lot of things that I hadn't experienced. I really just wanted to play basketball still, but then I started experiencing things there that I didn't do before going there. It wasn't their fault, but I just wanted to fit in and to be a part of the crowd. I started smoking weed and doing some things, living a lifestyle that I wasn't acclimated to, and not knowing then, I was just wanting to fit in, but not knowing the downfall of some of that stuff would cause me later on. As a sophomore, which was my first year there, I led the conference in scoring. I made first team all conference, and I was on the national scene. And so I really had a very, very, very good year. At the time, I was really expected to be able to play pro basketball somewhere. I went back to Florida, and, I started delving into, the drug atmosphere. And then when I decided I wanted to, devote myself to trying to get in some type of pro camp, I broke my kneecap. And that really, messed my head up as far as, where am I going in life now? I didn't get a degree because school wasn't a priority. So now I'm left with, what do I do next? And I really delved more into my drug use. But at that time, I had put so much hope into just playing basketball when that was shattered with my kneecap, it was like being in a black hole with no way to get out. How do I get out of this hole? How do I become something else besides a basketball player? Because that's all I ever wanted to do. There was a lot of shame and guilt involved because I feel like I had let so many people down. So many people had high expectations of me, but it was as a basketball player. From my community, small community, Regi Harris, Regi gonna be the one that go and make it. I didn't want to face it. My pride and ego had me acting out in other ways instead of just facing the fact that, okay, so what, that didn't work. You got other things you can do and still be successful. But I wasn't there yet. Started drowning my sorrows in drugs and being ignorant to the fact of how destructive drugs can be. I mean, I was always strong, I could run fast, jump high, and I was always physically fit. So it may affect others in a certain way, but it couldn't possibly do me like that, And now with the respect for drugs don't discriminate. It doesn't matter how big, how bad, how tall, what color you are. Drugs affect us all the same way. It takes us down a road that without some kind of help, without divine intervention, it's hard to get back from. And it's when I started doing crimes. I started doing whatever I had to do to get my drugs. I started getting arrested for it. People gave me chance after chance, put me on probation. I violated because I was still dealing with the drug habit. And eventually I got sent to prison. And when I get back out, the drug problem was still there. It just was arrested because I was away from it. And I went right back to it. And the cycle just repeated itself. And I know there had to be change. And I started developing a closer relationship with God. A relationship, not just, religion. And things started changing. And I found repentance. And I turned around. And that's when the change occurred, is when I found a relationship with God and He taught me what true repentance was. It means turning around. It means changing my way of thinking. It meant going places, being with certain people. It was a change. It was a change in atmosphere. It was a change in behavior, change in my thinking. As much as I was seeking for God, He was also seeking me. And I realized that God was wanting surrender from me. And once I realized that God is a God that don't need help, He's an expert, and He loved me. He loved me enough to say, if you give me all of you, I'll give you all of me. That was the revelation. Not 80%. If you give me all of you, I'll give you all of me. That was the revelation. That was the psychic change. That's when things start appearing different. I started going into juvenile detention facilities with Breakaway Outreach, but we went from Florida to New York, Memphis, and the experience of going into facilities and sitting down across from young men that's incarcerated as I had been, and if I can go in and say, I've been there, I cried those tears, I can feel your pain, but the only guarantee I can give you is that God is there with you. Something about our interaction, I want them to want more of Jesus Christ. The beauty of it is I get to give back. I run a basketball program called Shooting with a Purpose. I'm a youth leader at my church. I'm free. And I'm not talking about free from prison walls or handcuffs or shackles. I'm free because Christ says, whom the Son sets free is free indeed. And I'm free indeed. The way I approach my trials and the confidence in knowing that I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me. And these problems are not mine. They're His. I could sum my life up and just, man, I'm grateful. I'm just grateful today I don't have to be rich. I don't have to be famous. But in all things, I'm content.